Speaking of being thin, do you need to get your brain on side in order to lose weight? Mindset coach Craig Elliott says yes, and he's here to tell us how to make it happen. Craig, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So it's not about me eating the chocolate biscuits, it's about my brain telling me to eat the chocolate biscuits. It's all about what you're telling yourself to do. Is that what you're trying to work on?
Yeah, definitely. It's partly sort of what we tell ourselves, but it's more what we associate to something, you know? So if I think about eating healthy, and yet as I bring it to mind, it's all, it means all the foods I can't have, and the foods I think about that are healthy and nutritious seem boring, then I'm naturally going to gravitate away from that. So I help people to get in and sort of start to change what's at that level and sort of line their mindset up with their desires. So if you want to be healthier, yeah, what do you need to associate, and how can we start to work with that?
So let's talk about this healthy food thing, because I mean, I think, you know, we were chatting before we came in here, and I think, like, I know if I want to lose, you know, if I'm going to lose these 5 kilos, I need to exercise every day, eat steamed chicken with vegetables for lunch, stop raiding the chocolate biscuit tin in the green room, and things like that. So how do I get my brain to do that? But to me, it's horrible. It's like, oh, I don't want to eat steamed chicken and vegetables. How boring.
Okay.
So how do I stop? You know, instead I want a, you know, nice fattening sandwich or something. How do I change my brain to stop thinking like that?
Okay, that's a good question. And that's a question most people are asking. It really comes back again to what you associate, but how do you change that? You know, something like shifting your priorities. I mean, if you ask someone in the street that's sort of seemingly naturally slim, fit and healthy, what's the difference between them and someone that's not? Their values will be a bit different, for example. So, you know, they'll value how they look and my health, my energy. The way I get around each day is really important to me. So just that alone will set a criterion for how they eat, and you probably know yourself. Sometimes you're focused in that area and sometimes you're not, so it's about where your focus is. And if you suddenly decide, hey, I've got something important coming up, I want to look better, then what you eat changes. Yeah, and so we can work with that and put that in place purposely, intentionally, and sort of more long term, so it's not just every now and again that happens.
How do you work, who do you work with, and how do you get your work? Is it like one-on-one work, or do you hold seminars?
I do a little bit of both. So I work with people one-on-one mostly, and have done over the years. I'm starting to get into more seminars and workshops more recently, but I also get clients through nutritionists, dietitians. I go and do seminars at some of the gyms, the Lifestyles gym here locally. And, you know, the nutritionists and dietitians will happily sort of send people my way, often where they've again talked to people about what you need to do, what you could do, what you should do, but they're not doing what they know, and so that's where I come in.
So let's say I'm a client of yours. What will you tell me to do in terms of getting a better relationship with food and a better mindset towards the food? What are some skills that I need to learn?
Okay, so firstly, you need to leverage yourself, and that's a little bit about motivation, but it goes beyond that. So you need to begin on the reasons why you do that. One way of thinking about it is it's the why power that drives the willpower.
Okay.
So that's the first step, is think about things that are going to get you moving. We can all put our intention in areas that'll have us do nothing, but we can also think about the things that are important to us. One key is that nobody really moves for this notion of losing weight. It's more about what having lost the weight will give them.
Okay.
And so putting the attention there. A little example from a client is that initially we focus on losing weight, most people do, but after talking to this person for a little while, discovered that she'd never taken her daughter swimming. And so it was about bringing that experience alive in her mind. And so I find those things that are most meaningful and emotional for people, that's where the energy is. Now, she'll get moving for that. This notion of losing weight, again, doesn't move anyone.
That's interesting. So you're saying that this particular client had not taken her daughter swimming because she was embarrassed about being in tox?
Absolutely.
So what did she do then? Like, what steps did she take? And,
Okay.
did she achieve that goal?
Yes, she did, and I'm sort of still in touch with her vaguely, but she, all she needed to do was bring that experience alive in her mind. That's part of what I help people to do, and we may have a little exercise we can do shortly that gives you an example of that. So I say you got to go, because people set goals, but they remain on the paper. You know, they don't really get in here, and that's part of the problem. So I help people to take it beyond that to where, again, they're getting in touch with what it'll mean to them, and then making those experiences comes alive, begins to do things in your mind. And so as she thought and felt about that experience, you know, I saw her well up with emotion, and I said, hey, now do you think it's worth moving on? And so she needs to then, connect that to the actions, because the actions in themselves aren't always that moving.
And when you say get moving on, are you talking about doing exercise, or you just mean get moving on actually doing something about it?
Yeah, in all those respects. And you've got to look at what you're associating in terms of exercise as well. One thing I use is, and it's quite simple but will help people to understand, is some people think about exercise and again it's, oh my God, you know, that's hard work, it's effort, it brings to mind all these bad feelings. And I say, well, okay, what about if you thought about it as activity? Would you be interested in that? It changes a little bit. And I say, so do you enjoy moving? What if we just talked about ways that you could move more, get more movement this week than you did last week, and even find things that you enjoy? And so it doesn't have to be this no gain, no pain sort of mentality.
Right.
And so it's finding a psychology that works and sets up this downstream, an easy feel.
So let's talk about some of these goals that you might, and then I do want to do this little NLP, neuro-linguistic, is that what it's called? Neuro-linguistic programming technique, because it is very cool. But say you've got your goals, so say, so are you saying that a goal like lose 5 kg is not a good goal, but look good in my togs for the first time in my life, good goal?
Yeah, it's a step in the right direction. So we start with losing weight to talk about a certain weight or looking good in my togs, because most people, when they think about that, it'll get them moving. And, you know, when they think about going to the beach next summer, those things are important. And, yeah, I sort of even take it beyond that, as I mentioned, to find stuff even more meaningful.
Something that's really got a heart to it, like swim with my child.
Yes, exactly. So you can
confident.
sense the difference there, and so can they. And yeah, then we drop that down to the action and say, so all you've got to do to have these experiences is just bring in a little bit more exercise or start to shape what you're eating. And it's only doing it enough so that it fits for you. We're not talking about becoming a gold medal athlete sort of thing. And so often people are making out to be way bigger in their minds than it is. And we do that with the sort of stuff we're moving away from.
That's right. You've got to be achievable goals. Let's do this exercise, this NLP exercise, because I think it's really cool. So do you want to talk through it?
Sure, I can take people through it. So this is something you can do, not right now, but say after the show or later on tonight.
Yeah, keep watching, guys.
It's an experience that I take most of my clients through, and I call it the magic question, and there's reasons for that, which I'll give you shortly. But so here's how you do it. And you have to put yourself in a little bit of a childlike mindset to get this happening. And so you imagine you go home tonight, sort of thing, or the tonight comes, and you go to sleep, and as you close your eyes, you don't know, something mystical, magical occurs, and you wake up tomorrow morning and you don't know how you got there, but everything's changed. You're in the body that you want to be in, and you're starting and doing the things that you want to do. You're wearing the clothes. You're doing those sorts of things that you know you'd love to do, but you haven't been able to do yet. And so you walk yourself in your body through those experiences. From the moment you open your eyes, how will you know it's changed? What's the first thing you notice? What's the second thing you'll notice? Get into that experience and start to live it, because one of the keys is going there. You've got to go there first in mind to go there in body. Right. And the magic that occurs, and I find this every time without fail, is that it helps people get beyond their current thinking. So they're able to find things through that imagined experience that they can't see where they're sitting where they are, because they bump into the usual stuff.
The usual things.
So that's like where the magic is.
The chocolate biscuits. Yeah. That's a brilliant idea. I've used that technique before, and it's really cool, that NLP. It's like visualisation, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and ultimately it's your current thinking that's preventing you from moving, so you've got to get out of that box.
Brilliant stuff. Great to have you on the show. Really interesting stuff. Thank you so much, Craig.
Thank you.
And Craig's back next week with 5 tips to help you change your mindset to lose weight.